Hello and good morning. My name is Richard Miller, and you've arrived at Never Not Here. And this is a particularly prolific period. Something very creative is happening, at least at Never Not Here. And you might have seen that we've expanded our talks, and we're talking to more than one person at a time. And somehow we've always believed in the power of dialogue and the power of discussion. Not necessarily to solve the world's problems, but maybe to make them more clear. And the clarity of those problems is just in finding new words and new ways to say things. And somehow, once in a while, it seems like the old words, I don't know. I mean, the words themselves are not stale, but the way we take them or the way we've insulated ourselves from those words seems to make them less effective. And, that's my take on it. And you might have a different take on it, and our guests might have a different take on it also. So let's start to meet who we're going to talk to today. And we're all the way in Poland with Patrycja Pruchnik, but
Pruchnik.
Pruchnik. It's hard to say.
Yes.
Pruchnik. So.
Yeah. Very good.
Really nice to meet you, and really nice to see you, and really nice to share your space in a beautiful country, which seems sometimes far away.
Nice to see you too.
And for a second guest, we're with our friend Stuart Schwartz. So Stuart.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. We've got every time zone covered, don't we?
Right. We're central New York and
4 p.m. in Poland, so actually it's good afternoon.
Don't you feel like you're on a news show or something?
Oh yeah, no, we're doing a news show. Why not? I mean, they're doing this like we talked to our Polish correspondent, and what's going on? What's going on in the streets out in Poland, right?
Yes, tell us what's going on, Patrycja.
In Poland right now.
Yeah,
it's
with you.
Okay, with me. Do you want me to tell the story of Patrycja?
Not just the immediate one, not so much the long-range one.
Okay, immediate one is that since few months, Patrycja is very happy. Yeah. So she doesn't feel fear and struggling. Even if she feels some struggling, she's in good condition.
Yeah.
If I can say like this, I feel very good.
So sometimes we talk about happiness on the conversations that I'm involved with, and sometimes we say that the only true happiness would be happiness for no reason. Because if you have happiness for a reason, of course, that reason might go away, and then it's not very, then you have to chase it, right?
Yeah, so actually, it is happiness without any reason. So it's hard to say, I'm just happy. It just appears in my experience. So it's no reason for that.
So did you, were you looking for that? I mean, or did it just kind of take you by surprise?
No, I was searching for that since I remember. I was searching since I was 18, and I was doing a lot of things, lots of spiritual things. I thought I can get there. But actually, these things I was doing couldn't bring me to that. And one day it just happened. I was in right place in right time with right person, and it's happened, and it was like very, very big, huge surprise for me. I was very surprised how it could happen to me. Come on, it can happen to, I don't know, someone in Himalaya or to people who are searching for many lives. And for me, I'm so ordinary person, and it could happen. Yes, it does.
Some things are really interesting what you said, because first of all, you said that it happened by surprise. It took you by surprise. And so then, in a way, the searching part or period of your life, if it happened little at a time, you would have said, oh, the searching is working, it's working. And maybe you wouldn't even noticed it, but later you could look back and say, oh, it was happening a little at a time. And so therefore, the searching is the path that took me here. But if you say, no, I was always confused, searching away, looking here and looking there, and then it happened by surprise, it seems to me that they're not really correlated, the search and the surprise.
In this experience, it's not correlated. In the experience, it wasn't, because before I was all the time doing something. I was trying to get somewhere, to do something and to catch something. But when I stopped doing it, it just appeared. And it was a big surprise. And the biggest surprise, it was that it's so ordinary thing. So something very, very simple, the easiest thing in the world. Actually, I was even angry for all gurus, all books I read. Why they are pointing to this, that is something very, very mystical, very spiritual, very amazing, and I don't know, some big words. But when it's happened, it was so natural. It was like it's so normal. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. Yeah, and I thought I won't say any words about that. I thought, okay, I can't say a word because these words are making troubles to people. But but later I found that I can't stop speaking. So I started speaking, and when I started speaking, I was listening to myself, and I thought, oh my God, I'm lying so much. I don't know how to use this word. So now I would like to be a poet to use the correct word for that what is unknown.
So anyhow, Stuart, more or less a surprise is really one of the more accurate things you could say about awakening, I guess.
Well, I think that Patrycja said something very profound and very simple, and that is, she stopped. I use that a lot in satsang. If you just watch how involved we are with the loops that are going on in the head, and all the things that appear true, and all the things that need to be adjusted, fixed, changed, and it's so involving and feels so real that the idea of leaving it alone seems ridiculous and irresponsible and definitely wrong, because look what's going on. And that's exactly when you need to stop and do nothing for a moment. And in that stopping and doing nothing, everything opens up. And the one that believes all of that stuff, well, where are they? And who are they? In that moment, it's gone. So what can you say?
So what we're saying is that that goneness is kind of like the source of happiness for no reason.
You could say that.
It just so happens to be.
That's right. It just happens to be. And then you have a direct experience of being the witness of everything that's happening. And you see that everybody is involved in what they believe to be very, very true and real and totally involving. I mean, it is your life, after all, what's perceived to be your life. And how could you put that down?
Right. It's what's way more than your life in a way, because it's perceived to be, the health of the planet, ecology, the world economy. It's, how your government is, the fairness ratio, or what justice is. I mean, it's perceived to be everything, not just your life.
Well, yeah. Everything that you just said pertains to your well-being as this person, you see? The whole world, everything, the government, the financial institutions, the air quality, the job market, everything pertains to the individual. But if there's no individual there, who does it pertain to?
Well, in one sense, certainly it pertains to me, right? But in another sense, I might be kind of well off. I live in a gated community. I got a big fat bank account. I got a dozen cars, and
I also have diabetes, and I have people after my money and people that drive me crazy, and the government that wants more of a cut of my income, and a wife that harangues me, and nobody is free from any of that stuff. It's just we perceive that one person is having it better than another.
yeah,
It's all perception, you know. Gated community or slum.
4 billion people live on $5 a day, and like 1 billion people live on $1 a day. I mean,
Yes.
that it's easy for me to say that, that it doesn't, that I'm suffering terribly, because my wife hollered at me. But
Well, I'll tell you, I met some people at a party from Colombia, and they were really not very wealthy at all. They had very little. And yet, in a country where there's extremes like, huge amounts of money, legal or illegal, with great power and means, these people seem to have more warmth and happiness than they should have. And they just seem to exude happiness for no reason, like we started with. They were there for each other, not with money, but with love, with care, with food, with partying. How do you explain it?
Somehow I wonder if there's not a really deep-seated belief that if we're happy, that also our manifest world will somehow be. Why wouldn't it? If we're happy and we live in love, why wouldn't we respect other people, and why wouldn't our actual manifest world kind of reflect that? Is that just a belief, or is that...
Well, it sounds, I think it's the truth what you're saying. Why wouldn't we? But you see, we've got one problem with why wouldn't we. It always comes back to, who am I? Raman is one question. So brilliant. If it's the person, you see, there are so many people that I meet that think that when you get enlightened, somehow the whole body will be transformed into some body of light, and what you see will be totally different, like bodies of luminous beings, and everything that happens to you will be like God's manna on a platter, and you are now divine and all of that stuff. It's all kind of like what Patrycja was saying about what the books say about grace and divinity. But in truth, what happens is that you transcend your own mind. It's only that. If you can transcend your own mind, then what happens is that everything that you're holding is true. Your world, your government, your finances, your lovers, your well-being is all attached to the one that believes they are the center of the universe. It's like saying, is it good for me or is it bad for me? It's always coming back to me. And, how can this enlightenment stuff better my life? How can I have this glorious life by being free?
That's what I was saying. I think there's a deep underpinning belief that says that that'll happen anyhow.
Yeah, well, it's just a belief.
So we should just tell people it won't happen, That'll, the world will always be whatever it appears to be, and your peacefulness within that world has nothing to do with manifestation.
You become the witness, Richard. You become the witness to this whole planet, which is kind of like a planet of desire, seeking power, and holding on to it. And of course, there's a lot of fear thrown in.
Is that the foundation of it?
I think it's the foundation. Go ahead.
I want to say that it doesn't mean that you just rest in it and you feel, oh, I don't have to do nothing. I'm just in it, so I just stay and that's it. I'm quite engaged in life, and more than I was before. I'm doing things 100% or even more, and there is no difference in it. It is only life itself. But without effort, in it, without desire to change the world. Because this, I can't do anything with to change. If I change myself, I just see people around me, they are changing somehow. I just see it is happening, but I don't have desire to change anyone, to change anything. I can't do it. I feel it is some kind of crime for the self. If you want to change something very, very much, I don't have this desire now. But I see these things are changing all the time around me now, but without a desire.
Let me try to be clear, because, like, okay, let's say that somebody appears that somehow is cut out of the equation. I mean, and you say you have no desire to change anyone. Okay, but how about the equation? Would you change the equation if someone asks you, hey, do you want to change this equation? Could be just well, it's just a society norms or society institutions. And, you know, I mean, like in America, there's concentrations of poverty. And it tends to be that people in those concentrations of poverty are more unemployed than ones that are out of those situations. And then we say, well, hey, do you want to have a program to break up that center of poverty and not have that anymore? And maybe it'll ease people, you know. And if somebody would propose that to me, I would kind of probably say, okay, how would we do it? Let's go for it.
Yes, definitely. Of course, I will do it. I will engage in any, even movement, if it's necessary. But I can't now. I can't say what's gonna happen in the future. If I will be in the place that I can do something, even with movement, even with protesting, probably I can engage in it. But I don't think about this now. What can I do tomorrow to make this change? I feel now everything is happening just spontaneously. So I'm not thinking about it now. Maybe it's not good. I don't know. I don't know.
Yes. So when you say that everything is happening spontaneously, there's a real knowing, isn't there, that everything and everybody that's acting in the play can't help but to be exactly the way they are. And if people are very attached, if their buttons are pushed, that certain things are just intolerable, that moves them to take action. They must take action.
Yes, they have no reason not to take this action. Yes, definitely.
They must, because it's just totally intolerable to them. And they are supposed to take action, and then they follow suit, you know? But if it doesn't push a button in you, and you know that everything is happening spontaneously, there's nothing you can do but see that you are the witness. And you are at rest in the midst of all of this, which can sound a little confounding to people that are totally involved with the thoughts that they're having as real, you know, and that something must be done. It just must, because I'm suffering here. And maybe if I do something, maybe if I give and help, then maybe some of my suffering will be alleviated. And you know what? It creates some good karma. It's good. Everything is good. Even, you see, the way I look at this world, the more I look at the way people are hoping for a better world, I think we've got a planet here that is like we're confined to it. There's nothing we could do about it. We're here. We're in the body we're in. We've got the kind of stuff we've got to deal with. We have no choice about it. You know? There's no choice whatsoever. And I think when you discover that, the only thing that you can do is see the things that you get plugged into, the buttons that get pushed, and do your best to ease out of it. That's been my path. The more you can ease out of it, the less of it that you see outside of yourself. And the more
I think there's a lot of wisdom to that. You know, I would like to just ask a little bit more about what it means that everything is happening spontaneously. And then we said that there's so much greed and fear-based activity and grasping going on. And okay, I'll just give one example. Let's just say that there's a lot of corruption in a certain government. And then people asked to, are in Greece, let's just say, and people are asked to do austerities. And they say, because of that corruption, only we're going to do the austerities, but those other guys aren't going to do it because the way they twist the figures. And so then we don't want to do it either. And so then you could say, well, all those people are grasping, and they're just thinking about me. But there's something about the institution that is perceived as not equal, not balanced, not just. And so then, I don't know, is that grasping or is that just something that could be retouched about our planet?
Well, I think that what you're talking about is just like one little part of the way the universe, our universe, this world has been since as long as we've ever known it. There have always been the people that have had the power, and then there have been the people that do all the work, slavery and masters, all the way through history. And it's like, I think that the people that don't have are always asking the people in great power to have great compassion and care and to give. But instead, they're holding on to what they've got and suppressing the others to stay in their position. And it's always a good question to step back and look and see if the victim, the one that's suffering, what would they do when they get their opportunity to be the one in power? Would they be benevolent? Would they be compassionate? Or would they be the ones, now it's my turn. Oh boy, I got there. Now I'm on top. Now you're the one that's going to have to put up with what I put up with.
Right.
And you know what? Most of it is unconscious.
No, I agree. It's a collective movement that we're, a collective belief system that we're in. And okay, let's say, how should I say it? If you really want to know, if I ask you, well, I could just ask you, what are you? What am I, Stuart? What are you? I'll just
what
ask
am
you.
I?
Yeah, what are you?
I'll tell you. I travel all over the place. I was just hosted by Patrycja and her husband Peter in Warsaw. I travel all over the place to sit and be with people and be ourselves. What more can you do? We laugh, we cry, we get quiet, we have a good time, we eat, and we alleviate ourselves of the delusion that we are somebody special, somebody solid, somebody trying to get somewhere. We are these beings, leaving the chaos of the haves, the have-nots, the push to be someone. I would say that this whole planet is kind of like a planet of agony and greed and all kinds of push. And it's all surrounded by benevolence. That's why, as Patrycja was saying, when you do stop, all of a sudden there's an awareness of this beautiful benevolence, peaceful well-being.
Yeah, I would like to say something now. Can I disturb you for a while? In this path of searching, when I was doing a lot of things, at first when I got sick, I was sick for tuberculosis for 6 months. So I was very sick. I was seeing my mind going crazy, and I just knew that time that I'm not this mind, it's only thoughts. So I knew that. So later, after doing some things in my life I didn't like, after not very good job, I thought that time, I started doing only right things. And I was for 2 or 3 years concentrated 100% on doing right things. So I was doing yoga, I was playing music, I was eating a really great diet, I was searching for the good people, I was trying to do only good things. And in the end, I just think that there is no difference in this and that's what I was doing before, and I thought it wasn't right. Wasn't any difference in this.
Yeah, but did it feel different? I mean, there must have been a less of a anxiety quotient in it.
actually it is the same. If you do it by force, if it's not natural, if you do it by force, it was the same, like before, doing my more stupid things maybe. So I thought, come on, I'm trying so much, I'm doing only right things, and it's not that what I'm
So what does that
looking
mean?
for.
What does
So
that mean?
I thought, come on,
Yeah.
I'm giving up, doing nothing.
What does that mean? Do it by force? That just means because you need to be there, right? Because without that, in other words, it is an anxiety quotient that you're moving on, right? And then when you say I'm just going to do nothing, then that's like take the anxiety off and just say, well, this is how it is. That's it.
I don't know how it works, but I was sure that that even good conditioning, good trying to make big changes, it's really forced sometimes. So if it's done by the force, it can't make any change in life. If it's done naturally, spontaneously, this is it. But if you do it that you think something is wrong, that somebody behave bad, for example, my kids, they don't want to eat this, I think they should eat something better, but what I think is better. And if it's done by force, no result at all.
You know what? That's so true. That's so true. And you know, I think we're locked into this universe because of what Patrycja is saying. As soon as we know ourselves as this person, good and bad and right and wrong becomes the law. And so because Patrycja wanted to be free, she decided she would start being only good, go only to the light, to the good. I'll play fine music. I'll eat the right things. I'll do the right positions. I will do no wrong. And it's not like it's force. It's just that it's a drive to get somewhere. Good is better than bad. Bad is no good. Good is great. And the problem is, it's always then the way I say it's good. And the way you say it is bad. And so you're at a war, even if you're good. And if you're good, then you have to hold on to bad as a balance of how well you're doing. And it all creates more and more separateness, more and more. And
because these things are said, you know, they're so often said, don't we? I guess we have to try them out, right? And just prove it for ourselves that, hey, everyone tells me to behave good, so if I do it, let's see what happens.
Well, now you're talking, because now it becomes a law. You must do this. That's what religion was always trying to do. If you do it this way, your life will work. Our way, not their way. Ours is the fastest way. You must do it this way. And it's all that control and force, you see. And good and bad, and every other duality that's going on, stops when you stop. And when you stop, you rest into yourself. It's not like you become this person that gets sprinkled with benevolence from the self. It's like you have to say, oh, I get it. Like you were saying, I've tried this and I've tried that and I've worked hard and I've done this. And where am I? I'm right
Nowhere.
up against a brick wall. Right. I'm nowhere. I've gotten myself into a corner. And that's a very good place to stop.
I don't know exactly what you said was good and bad disappear. It seems kind of obvious inside of me in my quotient of pressing against life and anxiety, but somehow doesn't all seem all that clear when I say it about you. You know, when I rest in centeredness, good and bad disappears in you or in the greater population. And
you can only, Richard, you can only work on yourself. You can't work on anybody else, because everything that you're seeing is your projection. Everything that you're seeing outside of yourself is what you believe to be true. And as soon as you stop, it stops.
Does it stop?
Well, try it.
I did. I ignored politics for years, and what they did was they took $2 trillion and they gave it to about 24 companies, and it didn't stop. You know, it didn't stop, and now I owe that money. Actually, I owe $50,000 toward my national debt, and I didn't have anything to do with it, but I did stop.
Yes. So I think you're still upset, Richard.
Well, it's shocking. It's shocking. I don't know. I mean, it is. And so being
I
upset
know.
about it doesn't work. But I mean, to say that I should just go back into my shell and see if they'll put
Richard.
another 2 trillion on them. I think they will, actually. I'm pretty sure they will.
Richard, you're giving me very good reasons why in this moment you shouldn't just stop. And that's what the mind will do. It'll say, for this reason from the past, if I stop, I'll be in a shell. I won't have any power. And it all sounds true to the person. And it's all keeping you from being yourself every moment.
Now, I liked what you said, because you said if I'm saying, I'm believing that if I stop, I'll be in a shell. And so when you say that, it means that I won't be in a shell, right?
It'll mean that you'll know who you are. In that moment, you'll know that everything that you're taking as so important is just something to take important at that moment, and it's gone. It's clean. And you can rest. And you can smile, because there's nothing to worry about in this moment. Until you think. I want to read you something. I found this morning.
Okay.
It's a quote. I didn't say it. It says, "The world is but a show, glittering and empty. It is, and yet it is not. It is there as long as I want to see it and take part in it. When I cease caring, it dissolves." The whole thing. And that was spoken by Nisargadatta Maharaj. When we cease caring, the whole thing dissolves. But as long as we care and we want it to be different, it keeps coming at us with the same force. Those are my words.
That's so personal, because why would you not want it to come at you with the same force? I mean, are you an island or what?
Well, I'm no one.
You're an island of no one, huh?
I'm not an island. Those are your words. I'm no one in particular. And I have struggled and resisted for so many decades, Richard, that I am delighted to be no one. I just cherish emptiness because I know what it is to struggle. And I know what it is to say it should be this way and not that way and get nowhere. So what to say?
I don't know. I can't understand what the glamour of not participating with the manifest world is. I mean, why would you be here and not want to participate with it?
You know what? I participate more now than when I was somebody.
Yes.
I travel for months on end, sitting with people, watching them see what it is that's causing them misery. And what is causing them suffering and misery? Believing that they are somebody, having to have it a certain way, and holding on to all kinds of stuff that they're not even conscious of. And watching them just be with it for a moment, letting it dissipate, and watching them laugh their heads off. So I would say I'm doing a lot.
Well, that's really an important message to put within the whole idea that, or the whole coaching, that you can just be here centered and not necessarily feel any urgencies. And but you're saying that out of that comes the greatest participation that has ever happened in your life. And so why wouldn't that be a good thing to also say? So people don't get confused. Oh, you do it. Yeah, you did. And I'm applauding that.
Well, I would say that, there's so many schools of Advaita that says there's nobody here. So when you're still, there's nobody here. But when you actually get empty, the thoughts slow down could be like next to nothing. And then there you are, being yourself, not causing more havoc in the world, and meeting people where they are, you become more compassionate. And I would say that by being no one, you become a better human being. kind of twist
Yes.
somewhere in there. Like Patrycja
Yes.
was saying, she does everything she has to do, but it's easier.
It's much easier, and it's some kind of strange, because when I start being a few months ago, and it's happened, I thought, okay, so now it is it. So what to do now? I don't know. I will sit. And I was sitting for a few hours on the chair, and I couldn't move. I was just being, and this vastness, everything. And the telephone called that I have a yoga class today. And I thought, oh gosh, I can't go to the yoga class. Yoga class now? I don't know. But finally I said to my husband, okay, I go. I will see how it works. And I went to this class, and it was the best class I ever had. Best. And later what happens, I thought I can't do it. Actually, I'm doing it, and the quality of this, what I'm doing, it's much better than it was before, much better. It's without any effort, but the quality is much better than before. So it's no need to be afraid of that. Maybe some people who are in it, they just don't want to speak with others people. They go to the forest and do nothing. But I think mainly they feel so much alive. I feel sometimes like energetic bomb that so liveness. It's not very ordinary. I feel like bomb. It's not very boring. it's kind of strange. I can't sleep at night because I feel so energetic. I can't eat even sometimes at all because I feel eating. I don't know. It's funny, but we have to be sure that it's no need to worry about anything. It's just working perfectly.
So you could say that problems are optional, Richard.
Yes.
They're an elective, like a hobby.
Let me ask you this, because you said maybe certain people create less havoc. And so then we're talking about action, right? Action can create havoc, or I mean, what creates havoc? And I'm saying that action creates havoc, but also disengagement creates havoc. No action creates havoc. The same amount of havoc, actually, because every action has kind of like a yielding that goes with it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to move. Yes. So then I'm saying that the yielding actually draws push. And there's no difference. There's no separation, right? That's only a dualistic idea that, hey, I'm not doing anything, so I'm innocent. And you say, no, wait a minute, you didn't look at what people were doing, so then you created the space for mischief.
Well, the thing is, you're right back to the duality, like you say. There's some people in apathy that are doing nothing, and it looks like they should be doing a lot of stuff, but it's like nature is pushing them down so that they're hatred and greed cannot express itself, so that they're just like immobile. And then you have all kinds of angry, arrogant people looking like they're going all over the place, creating a lot of problems. But they're still back into the duality of the person. What I'm talking about is being present. Being present means in the moment, you are yourself, and the self knows what to do. You become that. You see, you don't become somebody that's imitating it or trying to be it. You just are. You just react to what's there without trying to make it different, without trying to impose your will. So that's peaceful.
Yeah, this is a really potent sharing and testimony that the self knows what to do.
Yeah, it does.
And then when we talk about imitating, because imitating is mostly what Patrycja was talking about when she was searching. She was searching to imitate, right? Yeah. Am I right, or?
Yes, it was searching some kind of idea that its life gonna be better, that it will be some kind of, I don't know, happiness, but it was some ideas. But I can still say that now I have happiness and this is freedom. I can use this word, but it's not the same what I was thinking about before. Actually, it's completely normal life. no, I don't know. I'm not here. I don't have here like a Christ or angels. I don't have angels. How to say it?
Wings.
I'm not. Yes, I don't have these wings. I feel completely normal, and this experience is completely obvious, normal, ordinary for other people. If it could happen to myself, it can happen like this to everybody because this is so easy. This is so easy.
And let me ask you something, Patrycja. What about the things you were trying to change on your path to trying to be yourself? How do you feel about the things that are still the same?
You mean the things like that were the motivations?
Yeah, the things you didn't like about yourself.
Yes, everything comes from suffering. I was suffering, so I wanted to get rid of suffering. So in normal suffering, I thought, okay, I don't want this. I want to have these good things now, good qualities. But actually, good action can cause bad things as well. And I've seen it clearly that it's not so obvious. It's not so easy to understand by mind. Only surrendering, just let it happen, to see it like it is, and no judge to the people, to the society, to the everything. I think this life has so much perfection that it cares about everything somehow. Even it looks like it's hell completely, but it's just as it is. We can't do anything about this ourselves. I can't push the world the way I would like to go because it's only my idea. So it goes where it's supposed to go, I guess. I don't know. Actually, I don't nothing. I know that I'm saying some things, but I feel like saying some, I don't know, bullshit.
So pushing the world out of hate, pushing the world out of hate and despair, maybe we've tried it, and then somehow we think, well, if we just, I can't push the world, and then what arises maybe is a feeling of fullness and love and openness,
yes,
and attachment,
yes, exactly like this. I never felt love as much as I feel now. I feel love to everybody, but before I didn't like many people, but now it's completely okay with everybody.
And somehow we kind of have this, probably we hold that there would be a better world if people felt that love, because then this mischief wouldn't necessarily be there, and so much mischief wouldn't be there.
The world will be crazy, absolutely crazy, beautiful.
Yeah, but somehow, just like my example of Greece in corruption, I think that has to be institutionalized too. Somehow, the law of the land has to be written in a way that somehow embodies this love, or the possibility of this love. I don't know if you. Yes, I don't say you can legislate love. I don't say you can legislate love, but I'm just saying,
Richard.
Yeah. Okay.
People already are in love. They're in love with power. They're in love with being a victim. They love it and they hate it, and they love it, and that's life. People are in love with what they know. They want it to be different, and they want it to be the same.
Well, it was kind of where I'm driving, I guess. You said that if the roles got reversed and the guys in victimhood got to be the power, and the guys in the power got to be the victims, it would still work the same way, because we'd say, now it's our turn, let's do it, And that's when I ask you, well, what are we really? And in one way, what we are is we're Earth. We're Earth. Because we're born out of the earth, we eat the earth, we consume the earth, and we die to the earth.
So you say.
Yeah.
So you say.
Well,
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all.
Yeah. That's why I ask you, to see what you would say. But, I would say that because I've never been off the earth, and so I wouldn't know that if I could sustain myself off the earth. But anyhow, let's say, just to finish the point, it's not fundamental that I have to be earth. But, if I'm earth, somehow it's got divided up, where my part of the earth has been some of it's been taken away. I don't have the mineral rights. I don't have the timber rights. I don't have the fishing rights. The lot of parts of the earth has been divided off, and we said, okay, you guys can run these things, and these other guys will work for you. So basically, we've divided the earth up, and because you said for 4,000 years, or in all of our history, somebody's been in power and somebody's been subservient. And that's just an institution that says, a certain kind of ownership. I'm not trying to say there should be no ownership or no stewardship. Stewardship would be good. But a certain kind of ownership where masses of people are, in Brazil, 2% of the people own 80% of the land and goods. I mean, there's and that's something that I say could be institutionalized or changed in the institutions, which would make love feel a lot better, I think,
Love is the absence of everything else. You see? People think like when they come to a spiritual meeting like satsang and we sit in the silence, they probably think that they're a person and they're getting still, like in a yoga class at the end. They get very still and they realize that their mind is not there anymore. They don't know what's going on. So people think that they are doing something to get into a state of silence. But the more I do this, the more I see that we are the silence and we appear to be a person. And as long as we adhere to being a person, we are attached to the earth. We're attached to our birth. We're attached to needing the earth in order to support our needs. So therefore, we have to fight for all the things you're saying to get what we need before we die. And as soon as you see that that is just one concept on top of another, on top of another, that when you identify as the stillness, that you're infinite, that there is no birth, like the sky, it just doesn't end. It doesn't end. And the identification with being the person with needs and desires and needing to make things different causes all the separation and the lines and the hostility and the holding on. And as long as you're in it, it's totally real. It's so super real and it's so important and it's devastating. And you're so wrapped up in it that it doesn't give you an opportunity to stop and be who you really are. It's like it's all or nothing.
Would the stillness have any reason to turn its head away from the manifest?
We turned our heads away from it. You see, the stillness, it has no intellect. We have the intellect. So with our intellect, we're doing all kinds of things to please ourselves. And instead of turning around and using the intellect to see what came before us and what's here now and where we're going later, we have to use our own intellect to see through our own minds. And
yes, but
it does.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, and sometimes it doesn't mean that in this stillness, which is completely empty, there is no wisdom. Somehow everything goes not so bad. I don't know if there is a wisdom, but I feel that there is some wisdom in this stillness as well.
Sometimes
it's
to
not
me,
intellectual.
Yeah.
It's not intellectual like we think about this. It's not so obvious because sometimes things which we experience, they look so bad. So we can never think that it could be a good way. But in the end, very often we can see some wisdom in it. So I think with these words, it's completely fun. With this Occupy movement, for me, this is beautiful. Somehow it's gonna bring some change, maybe not by force. Maybe some people will see things differently. I feel this is completely beautiful, everything in the life. It's not empty that we don't care about this. It's some wisdom in it as well.
Sometimes it seems the way a human perception is it takes contrast to see anything, and without a contrast, and sometimes if we're kind of sleepy or kind of like focused on something else, it takes a huge contrast in order to kind of say, whoa, and then a lot of times that contrast is like a huge injustice or something like that, or it's an opportunity. It could be a tsunami where a lot of people are hurt, and we just say, oh, wow, I do love those people. I was ignoring them. And contrast just means that contrast is not in the vastness. I don't know if there's a contrast in the vastness. The contrast, I'm saying, is only in the manifest world, and with that reference point, we can see, and we can realize wisdom. And without that reference point, I'm not so sure that any wisdom would be realized. I mean,
I think that all creation, all positive direction, creativity, from my own experience, it usually happens out of the silence. Things that I would never have thought of consciously seem to take place. Mm-hmm. It's like seeing clearly. It's like having a very clear knowingness of what to do without thinking. And I think human beings don't really get that completely yet. And I think they're really missing out. That creativity really comes from no place. Yes. And you are that. It comes from there. It's rather than trying to find something that gives satisfaction and hoping for some kind of new creation or something to give the person credibility and acknowledgement and power. None of that appears to be necessary. Because, well, you aren't that. You just think you're that.
I think much of humanity knows that creativity comes out of silence, because, I mean, I think all musicians know that. I think writers know that. Authors know that. I think scientists know that actually their most creative moments come out of the silence, and inventors know that. And they write about it, too, and they're not really what you'd call awakened people. They just know that silence. Also, sportsmen know that out of the silence is where they can perform. It's called being in the zone, right? And so,
right.
So then we do know that the silence is very potent, but yet that's not what I'm talking about. But when I talk about contrast, because contrast is also a grounded experience of the non-silence, and then out of the silent, and that proposes maybe a conundrum, let's say, and then the silence is where the answer for that conundrum is, not so much in working all the pieces in the puzzle and trying to fit them together in another way, but somehow without the puzzle being there, then there's no conundrum to even evoke a wisdom.
Yes. So what you're saying is, with the conundrum that you're given, with what you understand and what you know and what you don't know, there's an opportunity to ponder, to really question.
Right.
And each question that's unsolvable, you just stop. You stop. You stop trying for that moment.
Right.
You leave the puzzle.
That's that pregnant moment.
Yeah, you just leave it.
Right.
And you relax into the not knowing. And in the not knowing, eventually something has to give. It just comes to you.
Yeah. I experienced that. I experienced that. And but somehow what I'm saying, I guess, is that the conundrum, or the reference point, let's call it, is a vital part of the formula of creating or being gifted wisdom. And why don't we honor that conundrum and not just say that that's not real, doesn't exist, and we should always step away from it?
Well, when a conundrum, what the whole point of a conundrum is something that doesn't make sense. It's like coming from two different points and trying to make sense out of it. And when you get to the point where you just don't know, then you start entering into real knowingness. It's the admitting. You see, yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, this is so funny. This is the funniest part of that. That for mind is so so difficult to imagine that unknowing is so cool. It's the greatest things in life. The greatest things in life, it's unknowing. We think we're afraid of that. We're afraid of that so much that something can happen to us. But this is so cool. The best thing ever.
Well, like the major conundrum that we can sit in unknowing with is just the struggle of those in power and those as victims that you said has always happened, and has always been the case. And even if we reversed it, it would still be the case. And so that's the conundrum we can sit with.
Only if you're still buying into that duality, Richard. If you didn't care about it, you would stop seeing it. It wouldn't have such an important part of your awareness.
Let's look at those words real careful and say, if you didn't care about it. Now, that might not be the best choice of words there, because...
No, I would stand by it.
Yeah.
If you think it's important, it's important. If you had less interest in it, it would have less interest in you. It would start dissolving. But we're so used to it. We're so used to saying that I am this person with intelligence and power and drive and whatever I have, and I'm going to make my dent on this planet. And I'm going to meet all forces and I'm going to conquer. Listen to some 20-year-olds. What about stopping and realizing who you really are and not knowing? That's like a crime to the mind.
Somehow I would say it differently myself. I would say it's not that I don't care, but it's that I know it's not fundamental. I know that it's not has no power. That equation of power and victim. I know that's not fundamental. I know love is fundamental because I've experienced love, and I know that love is here even without thinking about it or without developing a conundrum. So that I know that something else is fundamental, and then on top knowing that, I could also care. I think no, that's how I play it these days.
I think that that caring is everything, but it's not about conquering or having your way. It's empty and it's full at the same time. You do what you can. If somebody is in pain, you take care of it. But you're not trying to save the world. At least I'm not. One person at a time, as far as I'm concerned. One person in pain met is more than enough. If you can alleviate the suffering in yourself, you can share it with somebody else. Then that somebody realizes, and then they share it. And that's peace for you directly.
I guess one of my driving forces is a belief that what's being said here is pretty clear, but what's being said often is misunderstood, and somehow it's misunderstood in a way that's not very practical. In fact, so it's misunderstood by the mass of humanity that they think, hey, that's not practical. I'm not even going to go into that. And if we could just...
and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't, because it doesn't seem viable. They have things in the world that they haven't done yet that are destined for them to do. It's all perfectly spontaneous, as Patrycja was saying. Everybody is on their own track. And to this, it could sound completely insane to know nothing, to be still, to feel peaceful for no reason and happy, and know that everything is working the way it's supposed to. Well, if that's your experience, good for you. I'm busy.
Well, when we just started and Patrycja started sharing, and we started talking about happiness for no reason, and I think it's not only an experience, but it's also logical, because you can really understand it. Happiness for a reason is is very short term and very hard work, and so that, just to put that up as an option, because it hasn't crossed anyone's mind really that could be an option, that actually there's a happiness that's more fundamental than satisfaction of a deal well done, and then even you could just, with logic, whether it's true or not, you could just say, well, you'd probably be a better player in the game of life if you were already happy, instead if you were using a lot of your energy and the friction of dissatisfaction. I mean, I think that could be something that would attract a lot of people without going through the whole of a lot of unsatisfying activity for several decades.
I think you're right. You're absolutely right. It would make a lot of sense, and it would be very logical, and they would actually experience it. And then the next thing that they're attached to would come up, and it would feel imperative that they go in the direction away from the peace, until they would see that there is no end to that, and then the stopping happens again. Hopefully the stopping can happen sooner.
Right, when they start to see the mechanism and say, well, I go back into that, and it's like, and I feel like that, and nothing really works, and then I go this way, and maybe new thoughts come out, and something new can happen, maybe. I mean, a new solution, or a new acceptance of inclusion, let's say, of those that I categorized before as a problem, and somehow I included them in a bigger formula, and hey, that seemed to work pretty good, actually.
For whom?
For all of us, for the whole world, right?
Who believes it?
Yeah, all of us, because I think we all can,
No.
Even the planet Earth believes it, the flying geese.
There's always the next thing that feels more real than the peace. And that's what you have to catch. There's always something that's alluring and seducing to say, if you went here, and if you did that, and if you could spread peace, or you could do this or that, or whatever you feel like it, that solidifies the person, that pulls you away from who you are. And when you catch it, then you're back home again.
I like what you said, when you catch it, because then you notice that turning point. You see like where it flips. And a lot of times we don't see that point, and what we see is that we're back over here again. How did we get here? I can't remember. I don't know. I'm always slung back here. But you're saying when you catch it, and to me that means to be there, be here, and be in enough peace that you can watch the transition and say, oh, that's the transition. That's where I got on the train.
I would say not see enough peace, but see enough chaos and suffering, and realize that it's self-created. See that I am perpetuating the chaos and the suffering. Look at that. I disapprove. I think it should be different. I am agitated. Look at that. And be with that. And do nothing about that. And see what happens.
Let's say a lot of people haven't let that happen to themselves for, either a long time or as long as they can remember. And so then that whole idea, that whole experience seems new. And so then they're curious, and they've heard testimony, and they want to approach this new thing. And so then approaching something new, they go and they ask somebody, and somebody tries to explain it or tries to give something, which most often is verbal. There's a verbal component to it. And so then that new, the first thing, it's not experiential, so then it's conceptual. And the first thing to try to do is to imitate it, right? I mean, that's just kind of a natural part of the path, is where you're in the imitative stage.
I think there's something before that. I think that there's some very interesting concepts that are delivered in satsang that people hear very clearly, that goes into their brain, like I am not the mind, I am not the body. That's very intriguing, and it filters through the brain. And if you really start to let that sink in, something starts to open up inside. What does that mean? What could it possibly mean that I am not my mind or my body? It's intriguing.
No, it's terrific because that's like an option that we never was on the table before, you know. It never really crossed our mind that, hey, I'm not this, you know.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
it could be, you know, that even I could be not this, you know. I mean,
yeah.
Or that I could even look for it and to say, well, I mean, these guys are saying it, they must have experienced it, so then somebody can experience this thing, can't they? And then that just puts an option that, hey, that's immense. That's actually an immense part of the sharing.
And it makes the person slow down. You know, just contemplating that.
Well, that's another option because we say that, and the only way to see that is to slow down. And hey, you know, if you're going faster and faster, then forget it. You don't want to see this, you know. And then take a pause, you know, every once in a while somehow. And then that's a huge part of the formula. That's brand new too. We never heard of that. We just said that we're going somewhere, so the faster you go, the quicker you get there. And so then why slow down? Then you're just wasting a day.
Mm-hmm. Like when I get lost, I go faster to make up time.
Right on.
What can I do?
I always do it too, right?
See, so we do that. Yeah.
Maybe I get lost on purpose because I love to go fast.
Maybe so. Maybe so. We do all kinds of crazy things. That's who we are. And if it's okay with you, then there's no problem. But if it's not okay with you, it's a problem.
Well, it's always okay for a while, and then later it's not so okay, right? And then
you got a problem.
Yeah, right.
So you just watch the clock. Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that.
We're used to solving problems. You know, we're good problem solvers. We're proud of it. So we've created a whole life of one problem after the other to solve. And so that's life.
What I hear is there's nothing really cut out, you know, there's no part. Sometimes it seems like when we say, hey, silence is something that you should try on for a while, it seems like silence, the way to get to it is to cut out the noise, right? And so then later maybe we find the silence within the noise. So then there's nothing to cut out. But somehow it seems like in the beginning, we have to do some disengagement. And I don't want that to be like thought of as the key.
Well, I think that if you start to see what happens when you're in the silence, that as soon as you let go of the chaos and you get still, there seems to be a smile on your face, like you started for no reason. How does that happen? It happens. It just happens.
Yeah, and actually, I think this silence, it's not the good word. I think this is the problem with words, because we think that it is silence, but on the other hand, it's so energetic and it's so liveness that we miss this. It's not passive. It's not passive. It's not that you don't mind of anything. It's very active, but in this there is this acceptance of everything. So maybe that's why this people just call this silence. For me, this word silence, I don't know if it's a good word. Not enough.
What would you use? What would you use, Patrycja?
It's changing. Sometimes I feel this is only energy. Sometimes I feel this is love, and this is love, not only love, idea of love. It's love which is in the body, which I feel in the all part of my body, and this is so strong. Sometimes I feel this is complete relax. Sometimes I feel, like I told you, energetic bomb that I can even explode. So these are experiences I'm talking about, experiences of that. But in the background of all of this is complete stillness and acceptance, whatever happens, because you see that this is kind of perfection in it. So you just engage in life 100%, and it is okay. At the beginning, I had this desire to escape. Okay, I want to get rid of this world. I would like to sit on the chair and just sit and just enjoy. But in one moment, I thought, I'm just sitting on this chair like a monkey, and what? I feel bliss, and what? So I just started acting and live my life normally, and I see this life. It's so beautiful, but it's so ordinary. It's so normal. It's nothing. No fireworks in it, you know. But in the other hand, fireworks too. I can't say.
Make up your mind.
I can't. Sorry.
I see. What to do?
Yeah, what to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's not enough to say the words in it.
Yeah.
I would like to be a poet, so I love poets now. They can do it perfectly. Even only they, or musicians or artists, they can show it without words, and I think this is better to show it without speaking, without talking, because doing this we just miss the point. The point is in not doing, just expressing, experiencing. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know.
That's really the point, as far as I can see, is not to sink into the same words such that it gives the appearance that the words are it, and to actually express this frustration with words and saying that let's have new words and let's have no words, or let's have words and no words, or let's let it evolve in the moment, and let's let it be a product of sitting in a still place and receiving an inspiration. And constantly this should be maybe the main sharing, is that just that this passionate expression that we just heard, I think, is really the most effective, and really it's a sharing that's the most practical too, because it just says only in engagement with your own process and your own search for words or no words, or sitting on a chair or not sitting on a chair, and only in what, there's nothing I'm going to give you about my process that really means anything. It's only your life that means something, and so then it's just that total engagement with your own life. And however that comes, it comes as stillness, it comes as noise, it comes as activity, it comes as frustration, it comes as satisfaction, and it's a great dance, and you become a great dancer. It comes as energy. You said it just comes as this terrific energy. Sometimes it's a bomb. So then you become a huge dancer in your own life, and all else unfolds from there. I think we said some really excellent, really beautiful things. Really happy with what. It's really fun to get together, right? I mean, this has had me hooked. This is what I like. So I truly thank you, Patrycja.
Thank you.
Patrycja.
Thank you.
And Stuart.
Stuart.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
So everybody, thanks for coming and watching this one. And we're trying to bring you something that's meaningful in your own life and that directs you to just to enjoy it. Because with enjoyment, I don't know. there's a connection that's there, but just celebrate that connection, your connection with your own life. So thanks so much. Come one, come all, come often. And goodbye for this session.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you much.